Currently a second-year doctorate of physical therapy student at Sacramento State, and I'm making this video in order to show how I made $50,000 as a first-year physical therapy student last year and what my plans are in terms of scaling. And yes, I'm recording this at 3 in the morning because this is really the only time that I can get anything done in terms of building anything outside of school. So we'll go over mindset and a little bit more details in the future videos, but I just kind of want to build out the skeleton right now, how I went from 0 to 50,000 within the first year. And this video was made for the people that have DM'd me on Instagram asking what I did in terms of making money while in school, and I hope that this can be some form of inspiration just to show what exactly is possible. I know I needed to create a system that wasn't just creating flat cash. So I need to go flat cash to cash flow that scales. Okay, starting from 0 last year, right? I know I needed to generate some form of flat cash. I started with Facebook Marketplace. Around the house, I just knew I had a lot of junk, but then also a lot of furniture. I said, okay, and I will sell all these items on Facebook Marketplace for cash, right? And I just kept doing this for weeks. I think probably around 4 or 5 weeks or so until I could generate around my first $1,000, which is great, but that doesn't even scratch the surface of my $100,000 plus tuition. So that was pretty much phase 1 of creating the cash system. Next, I needed to scale it, and this is the part that gets a little bit crazy. So I took that $1,000 and I reinvested it back into the cash flow system, which is phase 2. And that is Uber. Yay! People know me as the Uber driver, and they'll see me running around with a little like Uber decal. I have to pay for my gas, maintenance stuff, and my oil change and my tires and whatnot in order to create a system in which I will wake up at 2 in the morning every single day without fail. Like literally I could count probably on my one hand the amount of days when I'm not on vacation. I can only count the amount of days that I've missed, but I literally woke up every single day in order to Uber, and it was a learning curve in itself, but at least I could take that first $1,000 and then turn it into my first $10,000, okay? I started cash flowing probably around $80 to $100 daily in that second semester of PT school or so. I needed to take that cash flow into something that scales, okay? I woke up at 2 in the morning and I kept doing this every single day, even on days where we had exams, even on days where we had practicals, even on days where we had class all day. I did it every day. I literally did not stop. I would just go into class tired. People would ask me, oh, you do the Uber thing. And I knew in my head, I'm like, if I just keep going and don't stop, it's going to be worth it. And I lived super frugally. I remember last year I would barely really go out because I knew that I was trading so many hours to create some form of cash flow. But I knew I needed to take that money and grow it somewhere else, right? So I made my first 10,000 purely through Uber. Actually, I made my first 20,000 purely through Uber. And in my head, I already knew that if I'm going to be on time in terms of getting to my first 50,000, within my first year, I needed to scale that into close to its final form, which was personal training for me. And so being a personal trainer, okay, so I needed to take the money that I made from Uber and reinvest about $1,000 of that. So just pretty much a small chunk of that to a personal training license. And the fastest way that I can get to a personal training license was the NASM exam. And I knew that I needed to study while I was in school and then study throughout winter break and then take the exam by January. And then by January 14th, 2025, I became an official licensed personal trainer. Was I already training some people online? Yes, but it wasn't really, it was very sporadic. It wasn't consistent cash flow, and I'm currently working on scaling it, but it's very hard to go purely online while I'm in physical therapy school. That's kind of the challenge that I'm going through right now. But I knew that if I were to work for a W-2 job personal trainer position, I needed it to be that $60 to $80 range if I had clients, right? So I applied to this place in Roseville called Villa Sport, and we had a really good interview process, and I just kind of bet on myself and my knowledge. And the ideology is that as I continue to go through physical therapy school, my knowledge base in terms of the human body will continue to scale. I've already been exercising for around 6 to 7 years, training myself, going from this to this, right? And so I knew that as I continue to refine my approach in terms of working with people, that in itself would be able to give me an edge over other people my age applying for the same position. So this pretty much made my income go from this, like I kind of had a ramp up of like this to like that, right? Because now I'm not trading so many hours in order to make the same amount of money that I would Ubering. I'm now doing that within the first 45 minutes to like an hour, right? And so that's pretty much the bulk of the video of like the 3-part system. Could it have been covered in 2 minutes? Yeah, probably. Like I just went from Facebook Marketplace to Ubering to personal training, right? But I wanted to be a little bit more thorough than that, just because if you look up how to like have side hustles in physical therapy school, or just how to have side hustles while in college or grad school, there's so many people who'll give suggestions, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, go DoorDash, go do this, right? But they're giving suggestions without explaining how hard it is, or like that they actually did it. That's kind of the difference, is that I literally went from 0 to 50K within my first year of physical therapy school. And is it a lot of money? Not necessarily, relative to, you know, what a lot of other people my age that are entrepreneurial, that are not going to school, the kinds of money that they're putting in. But at the same time, I can say that I'm proud of myself for sticking to this, and you know, sticking to the ultimate goal of getting to $100,000. And so it really means the world to me if you would just drop a like down below, subscribe, leave a comment as well in terms of what kinds of content you want to see. Feel free to DM me at @Corda on Instagram, as well as at 100K PT student on X. That's my other social media platform and everything. But hope you all have a good day. It's currently 3:46 as I'm recording this, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.